Good afternoon again, everyone. It's 1 o'clock. I just wanted to check in. We'll get started in a few minutes. Again, my name is Joan Jennert, and I'm the Solutions Manager for CareTime Software. I've met many of you over time at the CDPNE conferences. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. Kara with CareTime will be fielding those questions and sending them to me at the end when we put up the slide just to go over any questions. You'll also have all of my contact information, which most of you do. And if at any time after this webinar you would want to speak or have any other more detailed questions or more agency-specific questions for your agency, I will happily set up that time with you. Again, we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. If anybody trickles in, they'll be able to watch the replay that we can also send out as well. Again, sorry for those of you who joined a little early. I will introduce myself one more time. My name is Joan Jennert with CareTime Software. I am the Solutions Manager. I have been to many of the CDPNE conferences in Albany and in New York and have enjoyed meeting every one of you and learning about the things that the group in New York needs in order to be successful and, of course, compliant with the EVV process that's coming on to New York. So this is just about a general overview of preparing for EVV in New York. As I said, most of you and us have been doing that for a long time, but obviously it's all coming to a narrow passage now where we all have to line up and get going. So we want to be your resource and the New York resource in order to make sure that you have all the answers that you need and be a point of call if there's ever a process that comes to play or there's something new that you hear about that you want to share with us, because we want to make sure that we have everything that you need if you have the process to go to with CareTime or whatever software that you may choose at the end of this. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The agenda for today is pretty simple. It's really, we're just going to talk about why and what is EVV. most of us know, but sometimes it's nice to just have it in front of you and kind of as a bullet point conversation so you can really digest that information. The current deadline, which of course we all know is looming, the options for EVV, so just basically what you're looking for, and then a software feature and checklist, so we can go over what you need to look for when you are choosing your EVV software. And of course, I'll go over some points from the view of the CareTime team in order to say what we have to offer as well. Again, any questions can be put in the chat for Kara with CareTime software, so she can then send those to me when we get to the end and go over any questions. So please don't hesitate. We may not have time for all of them, but regardless, we'll get back to you if we run out of time. And then again, I do appreciate your time this afternoon. I know everybody's very busy. So why do we need EVV? Well, basically in a short sentence, because they said so. That's really kind of the answer. But of course, electronic visit verification was a product of the Cures Act that was passed in December 2016. State Medicaid programs will lose federal funding if we don't comply. So it's time. It's just time. We've been talking about this for a long time. I know this year has been very challenging in every level of every process, in everything that we all do every day. So, you know, unfortunately, the deadline is coming at the end of the craziest year for most of us. The providers risk a loss of reimbursement. So obviously, without having the right EVV and not having it implemented in time, you can't get paid, so the providers can't get paid. So we need to make sure that everything's in order for you as the agencies and the fiscal intermediaries to be able to implement the EVV process and go with a team that's committed to making sure that everything is done. If it comes up tomorrow, we'll fix it and get it done. If it comes up 6 months from now, we'll get it done. So we're your resource and go-to in order to make sure that you are fully compliant at any change and any hoop that they may put in front of us all to jump through. As we all know, that's been quite a circus full of hoops for sure. But we all love it because we keep coming back. So the 6 required elements for EVV. A lot of this is going to be very simple and repetitive, but again, that's the way that we need to make sure. So this way we all know that you're compliant and we're providing you with a compliant service. So of course, the type of service performed, that's going to be what the visit is or what type of visit it was. And that's done through most software products, and from the standpoint of CareTime, of course, that's done in the software when the visit is started and ended. Of course, the consumer, the individual receiving the service. So that is important in order to do claims and get paid. The date of the service. So that's also the date and the clock in time and the clock out time that then verifies the date that the service was provided. The location of service delivery. So that is the clock in location and the clock out location. I could again speak from a CareTime point of view to let you know that we only clock the clock in date, location, and we then clock the clock out location as well. So what that does is it just gives the latitude and longitude in the background of the clock in and clock out. We do not, and we have no intention of in the near future, of tracking anybody throughout the day or moving throughout their day as they provide the services for the consumers. We need to know the individual providing the service. So we have the individual receiving, and then we need to know the individual providing. So that's very simple, again, with the EVV clock in and clock out. The time the service begins and ends, again, with electronic visit verification, that is not a timesheet, that is the actual time the service begins and then the service ends. So basically what the EVV is coming across and requiring is documented dates, times, and people. So it's really, it's not as scary as everybody has certainly made it. It is a pretty straightforward process. It's just like, hey, the paper timesheets are great, but we now need, as the government and everybody has put forth, we need the details. It's all in the details. So that's what EVV is providing to the claims and to get processed and to get paid and continue to be a successful agency as well. So hopefully that's pretty straightforward, and it's mostly what you already know. But again, sometimes it's just nice to have it in one place and talk about it in one conversation. So obviously in New York, the deadline is January 1, 2021. We have been told, and you've been told, that the Department of Health of New York has requested that you register your selected EVV vendor in August. So we're hoping most of you have done that, or you are in the process and working on getting all of that done. Now, we, of course, we want you to act now before it's too late. We don't want you, we're experiencing in other states, I'll be just honest again from a care time perspective, that people were waiting till the last minute. They are grasping at every moment of time in order to get to the place that they need to be. Please don't do that to yourselves. You're under enough stress on a daily basis to run your business, provide the best service, and make sure that all the consumers and all of the aides and PAs and caregivers, whatever you may call them, are doing what they need to do and have an agency to work from, and preparing for whatever may come again in 2020. So don't let your EVV process and your software become one of those huge points of stress. Because again, like I said, we're seeing it in other states, and I'm a New Yorker, so New York has got its own level of stress as well. So let's make sure that you get it done as quickly as possible. You don't want to miss any claim revenue. It could take 1 to 2 months, depending on the size of your agency, to get going and fully trained, where you're just like sitting back, put your feet up, and everything's great. And some of the agencies that are smaller, you can get it done quicker. And of course, from a care time perspective, we will be there through every step and every process to make sure you are successful throughout the next few months, and that you are ready for the deadline. And you're like, what deadline? It doesn't matter to us. We've been doing this for months. That's where we want you to be. That's the comfort level that we would like to see for every agency in New York. Because again, this is a stressful process, and 2020 has been stressful enough. So hopefully we can help you and remove some of that stress for you and get you compliant by the deadline of January 1st, 2021. So basically, from a high level of the timeline as it's put out from the Department of Health, so you can see, obviously, a lot of this is past. We're looking at, again, providing the selected EVV solution statewide to the aggregator. That was August 2020. The statewide aggregator testing begins in October. It's crazy, but October is in about 14 days. So that is not a lot of window of time that we're looking at. It is basically now. Everything this year has been now, no matter what month it's coming. And then, of course, the final date to implement with EVV Medicaid Personal Care, PCS services, obviously, is December 31st, 2020. Because on January 1, you should be up and going and everything's moving and shaking as it needs to be. So we are here, whether it be a resource to answer questions, whether it be just somebody to listen, an ear, a process, a thought, an idea. We are open for all of that. Even for some reason, if you go with another provider and you still need an ear, we stay very close with CDPAP and the Department of Health in New York. We're happy to help. We're happy to help through any step of the process. And then, of course, continue to be there right next to you as 2020 rolls in and we go through the next year of this process as well. Again, reminder, if there's any questions or comments or whatever you may want to share with Kara, she will be fielding those throughout the rest of the slides, and then she will go over those when we get to the question portion. Okay, so don't forget to send those over to her. Of course, the EVV Technology Options, none of this is too new. We have one that we've produced that's new, but we do have a mobile app that's available Android and iOS. So you can have the caregivers can use a mobile app to clock in and clock out. It is GPS generated, but again, it's just clock in and clock out GPS. Not everywhere you go, everywhere you go to the library, you go to dinner with your aide. That's not what it's going to do. It's just where you clocked in and where you clocked out. So you have that as part of the solutions for the technology for EVV. Then, of course, we still offer telephony. I've heard that some software providers are going to get rid of telephony, but we will never. We will always have that as an option and a backup. And then, of course, there's the offline devices. I'm going to go back to the EVV portal. We have a Bluetooth option available that is programmable and plugs into the home and tamper resistant. So that's one way that we can do that. And then also there will be a transponder available that is kind of old school, but sometimes we need even need the older technology regardless of the mix of the new technology available. Now the consumer EVV portal, that is something, and I'll go into that again on another slide, but as Kendra, who's on the call, will definitely let you all, she'll share with you the information that we met with several groups of consumers, because Jared and the CEO of CareTime and I were at a conference in New York, and we had a lot of, conversations and discussions and what do we need and what can we do for you. And on the Uber ride, literally, on the Uber ride on the way back to the airport, we said, we need a solution. We need an answer to this problem. We need to take some of the fear away. So we decided to start meeting with consumers and say, what is it that you need? What is it that makes you comfortable? What is it that's not going to be overbearing or underproducing? So we had several of those meetings, and we created our consumer EVV portal. So I'll go into that a little bit as well, but where the caregiver can go in and create their time card, and there's a lot of features to that also. So it's a great tool from the consumer perspective. And that's why we had those meetings. So that was created in an Uber ride, the idea from on the way back to the airport in Albany a couple of years ago. So it's taken us some time, but I think we got it right. So anybody have any questions with that, again, send that to Kara. And then if anybody wants to do a demo of that portal, I will happily do so as well. I know Kendra's seen it, and I'm sure she will agree that it's exactly what you need. It's exactly what you need. It's nice to have somebody respond for once and say, here, this is what you asked for, so we're going to provide it for you. So what does EVV software do? Pretty straightforward. We have the client records. You can have the caregiver records. Of course, it clocks and records. It has all of the clock in and clock out data, claims, and then so much more. For example, again, speaking from a CareTime perspective, we have a form builder that you can create forms that the aide or caregiver can fill out through the mobile app. There's, of course, the consumer and PA portal. Then we can also generate payroll data. So you can run all the way up to the gross amount with all the details for the actual payroll. Now, of course, again, we have claims that we can create from the EVV visits. You can do claims, from 0 to 60 in just a couple of minutes. So compared to what you may do now or in a manual process, we will definitely be able to put that together for you much quicker. So again, it maintains records, maintains the EVV visit information, maintains the payroll data, and also creates the claims from the visits. So it's basically information in, information out to the clearinghouses, and then money back. So we like the end of that story as well. And at the moment, just a caveat, at the moment we are approaching $6 million in successful claims that have been processed through CareTime as well. So we have figured it out, and we are moving along, and even though sometimes they change the target, we just changed the trajectory of our arrow, and we still get them. So, and I'll give a lot of credit to Kara for that, working with the clearinghouses and the developers on our side. So some of our optional home care software features, again, with the electronic claims, excuse me. So you have the ability to just pull the visits together, say, okay, give me the visits from this day to this day. Then it says create the claim, then you create the 837 file, and we have an automatic connection to the clearinghouses, and it goes right to the clearinghouses. And then we also have an automatic reconciliation process that you can take that 835 file, bring that back into the software, and it will reconcile the paid, rejected, and partial claims that have been paid. So again, very slick, very easy to use, very productive, without a doubt. And our caregiver matching, that's more for your licensed home care agencies, but we do a preference matching, like if the client only wants female caregivers or they have dogs. It's still information you can keep in the system just to have in regards to the caregiver or possibly the aide. Now, again, we have the consumer family portal. So this also not only gives the consumer the ability to see their timesheets, they can also approve those timesheets by signing electronically. They can also ask for an edit and say, hey, that wasn't correct on that day, and send the message through the portal to the agency to say, hey, can we get this corrected because they left at 3, not 5, or they got here at 8, not 10, or whatever that may be. Then you can also, the consumers can decide to add family members. So then they can add, family members that are far away that want to be involved in their care, and you can decide what they can see, and just basically the schedules, notes, progress of the consumer's care. So, and it also has an employee portion of that portal as well. So it really is a very comprehensive option that, like I said, we met with consumers over the last few years to make sure that that is what you need. So we will continue to do that and grow that product just as we do our other products. The custom form builder. This is where we can now create forms in the software to do intake, supervisory visits. You can do assessments. You can do inventory of their shoes. I mean, whatever these forms that you want to create, it gives you the ability to create them based on the needs of your agency, not necessarily the needs of what the software company thought you might need. So you have the ability to do that. You can also upload PDF forms that are fillable, and it will help you work with those as well. So it really is an incredible process for you to be able to say, well, my agency does this form, and I have to, cram my decisions and my processes into the forms available for me. So this is part of our software, and it gives you the ability to just be more creative and not be just stuck to what is available to you based on the thoughts of the software company. We want you to be able to make those decisions, not us. Again, any questions that you may have, please put them in the chat to Kara, and we'll go over those in a bit, as long as we have time, and we don't want to run over time because, like I said, everybody's very busy. So we want you to be able to get back to your day. Sorry, I forgot this one was coming up, so I'll just go back through this. The consumers have control of their timesheets. They can request edits as well. There's actually a way you can turn on that they can edit it. They can approve timesheets for payroll. They can even set schedules with the PA or their aide or their caregiver. So the consumer can set the schedule with them through this portal. So that takes out the need at the intermediaries level as well. They can log in and view hours or approve changes of hours. So if the consumer requested an edit and the PA then will get a note that says, hey, this was changed, they can approve that as well. And they can also have the consumers have a messaging platform for the FI, the consumer, and the PA. So again, this makes it easier to communicate. It gives you the ability to have a little bit less phone calls, a little bit less hectic, levels of communication. It just gives you the ability to communicate a little bit better between the aides and the consumers and the FI. So this is again, a product of many, many hours of meeting with consumers, many very informative hours meeting with consumers and agencies, and allowed this to become the process that it is, that we've worked very hard on from that ride to the airport. Oops. So choosing an EVV software template. So of course, this is again, our perspective, and we want to make sure that you have all of these things that you need to have in order to be compliant and be ready for the deadline. Does it record the 6 elements of EVV that's required in the Cures Act? Basically the wheres, the whens, and the how and the why. Are there options of a mobile app with GPS if it is not available? So that's important because, again, we need to create a list of the location where the visits were done and where they clocked in and where they clocked out. So without GPS and with a mobile app, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. So you want to confirm before you move forward that that is a process that is available. Are they experienced as an EVV vendor and working with and connecting to and integrating with the state aggregators? So is this new to them? Are you going to have to teach them? Are you going to have to learn together? Those are pretty uncomfortable places to be in. From a care time perspective, we're pros at working with state aggregators. We are, in Ohio and Virginia and New York, and so we've already done this and we've got it pretty well under control. And again, any moving target, we're happy to re-aim and keep going and making sure that everybody's in the right place. Can it help automate your compliance, caregiver compliance, notes or alerts if there's a missed clock in or clock out? Audit trails of users changing records. Those are just a few things that you want to make sure that your EVV provider is going to have the ability to give you. So you don't want to be in the dark at any point if you can't see who did what or who missed a clock out, or if there's up to compliance, meaning we have, from a care time perspective, we have the ability to track their certificates. So if you need to put in a certificate and when it expires, then there's alerts and notices of that as well. So this way everybody is in compliance and nothing comes back to the FI in a negative way. What features can help your staff save time in their day? Saving time means making money. So that's the end of that. So what are the features that can help you do that? Do they have a portal for the consumer so there's less calling and contact? Do they have an ability to do your claims in moments? Do they have the ability to run reports in 5 minutes to get everything for the month of August? So those are the type of things you want to ask yourself. If somebody walks in and they say, we're here to audit you, care time, we want you to put your feet up and say, what do you need? I have care time. So if you're using the software 100%, then you're going to be able to put your feet up and do that audit like, yeah, that was cute. Now let's go on with the rest of my day. There shouldn't be a panic point or pain points. And again, I'm a big proponent. If you're working harder on the software than the software company is, then they've failed you. So just always be mindful of that as well. What is their support like? Ask them, how do I get support from you if I'm needed? What are your hours? What is it like? Do I email? Is there tickets that I open? Are there live people? Is there help with claims, or does that just become, oh, go ask them or go talk to somebody else? From a care times perspective, we answer every phone call that is brought in live, and then you also have the ability to create a ticket, or you can email, or you can write it in the sky. One way or the other, we will make sure that you get the help that you need. You will always have somebody available to you. In the future, you'll have, every piece of information that you'll be able to get the help that you need. Again, if you're working harder than the software company, then that software company has failed you. Also ask them, do they charge for training and implementation? You want to make sure that you know what you're getting into. So is there training charges, or do you have unlimited training? Are they going to help you get started or sign you up and say good luck? So we want to make sure that these are the items that you take into consideration, that when choosing your software company, that these things are all based on the items that you're looking for as an agency in order to be successful through this mandate and this deadline of January 1st. Training and onboarding considerations. How quickly can you get the account set up? Okay, so if I signed up today, when do I have a care time account in our example? How long is it going to take in order to get us live, to get us moving? Staff training and onboarding of both systems and claims. What is that going to mean? Is it going to be, through the web? Is it going to be in person? Is it going to be, a daily thing, or how many hours? Those are things that you want to make sure that you both agree on and that you're ready for. Every process, every project is always going to be as easy as the people that you have to put towards that project. If you have 1, 2 people, it's going to take longer than if you had 10 all on board learning and working on that together. What happens with the training and the onboard for caregivers? Do they help you get that done, or do they just say, hey, good luck, train your caregivers? Do they champion somebody to be able to be the person that's going to be the point person for helping with onboarding and training for caregivers in your agency? Ongoing support and training, again, is it live agents? Is it videos? Do you get relegated to an email and just wait until they get back to you in a week or a few days or what have you? So you want to make sure these points are covered, because this isn't just getting started. This is ongoing. This is going to be every day. This is going to be, what is it going to be like to be your customer? So that's some of the things that you want to make sure that you have the commitment from their side, and then your commitment from your side to have a successful onboard and process to get going with the software. Speaking at a care time level, again, all of these things are covered. We are fully committed. We consider ourselves business partners with every agency that uses care time software. If you called us a software vendor, we might have to have a little trip up to New York and have a conversation. So we really do stand behind that we are business partners to every agency that we are working with today. And currently that's over 450 across our platforms. So we are 100% committed. And that's just not day 1 or day 10 or day 50. And some days that's my face. I'm sure you could plant a lot of our faces right into that corner. 8.5 hours are the average time staff is saved per week, no longer having to enter paper timesheets. And then just forget adding the time that you make them bring them in so you get them, or the time that it takes because you can't read their writing, and you say, hey, what does this say? It doesn't even look like the word Tuesday, or it doesn't even look like the word, of anything of the care. It's gibberish. So you can probably double that just in the time it takes you to gather and understand, let alone the data entry. The time it takes to create 2,000 claims from visits in care time, 2,000 claims is 5 minutes. So 4,000 claims is 10 minutes. When you're really good at it, I bet you 10,000 claims will take you back to that 5 minutes. So again, just the time saved is unheard of. The amount of annual payroll costs saved by a non-compliant service provider, caregiver compliance, and safeguards are automatic. That's at least 30K. We're looking at, 30K of an average size agency. If you're a larger agency, you're going to be saving a lot more. So sometimes it's not about what do we got to do to get in it, but sometimes it's what is it going to do for us once we're in it. So that's where Care Time, again, is 100% committed to making sure that once you're in, that we take care of you and make sure that all of the processes that you need as an agency, as a consumer, and as an aide are met on a daily basis and ongoing as well. Again, any questions, comments, whatever you want to choose, you can send to Kara, who is with Care Time as well. She is our product development manager, and she is beyond amazing. So she will also be a resource for you going forward, as well as myself, the entire support team. And I know a lot of you have met Jared, our CEO, who is driving this bus right up the mountain, and we're all leaning the right way, and we're all going to make sure that your agencies are on that bus with us, and we're all going to reach the levels of success that we're looking for. So currently, as of last week, when we finished this slide, there are over 4,000 consumers in New York that we are serving through the CDPAP New York community. So that's quite a number. That's quite a feat in regards to we are doing it right. We figured it out, and we are working to make sure that it can only get better from here. That's with being a partner of all of yours, a partner with the state, a partner with CD Panties, and a partner just with each agency as we move forward. We would love to double that number and triple that number into 2021. We thrive on your business being successful. So that's the level of commitment, again, that we will give to your agencies and to this industry. My contact information, most of you probably have my cards, the phone wallets, the pens that light up, other tchotchkes that we've brought to all of the CDP&E's conferences. But again, just take a moment and you can put down my information. If you have any questions after this webinar, I will be happy to field them. Give me a call. We'll talk as long as you need. We'll talk about whatever level that you need. And again, don't hesitate. It doesn't, we're not just there to service the agencies. We're there to make sure that the consumers and the aides have what they need as well. So regardless of your role in this industry, I am happy to go over any level of just not only the deadline, but also the, the software itself or how you would want to move forward. So again, any questions we can send to Kara. I've got a couple. It'll just take me a second to awkwardly silently read them, so I apologize for this. Okay, sorry about that. It's a little bit of a lengthy question. It's basically about the consumer timesheet entry with the service date and time. Is the location requirement for the timesheet satisfied with home versus community without capturing the latitude and longitude? At this point, on the contemporary, I can't say that word, so I'm not going to mess it up. But edits and approvals can be compliant. So if they're asking for GPS, but if not available, a community answer will be an exception. Not necessarily allowed, but it will show up as a non-standard visit. So hopefully that answer is sufficient, and whomever sent that over, we can definitely go into a little bit deeper conversation anytime after the webinar or anytime moving forward into the future. So again, if you have any questions, just send those over to Kara through the chat, and I'm going to go ahead and put up my contact information. So it's in case anybody wants to get a hold of me or reach out anytime after the webinar. And that was a question from Jose. So Jose, we have your information. I can definitely send you some more detailed information regarding that question, and we'll make sure that you have that answer for you. Someone has asked if we can send us names and references of other FIs that are using CareTime. Absolutely. I will confirm who asked for that, and I will definitely get that information over to you. So this way you can have references of other New York agencies that are doing exactly what we have presented here that use CareTime as well. So we do have several successful large agencies. We have some medium-sized agencies also. And thank you, Luz, for that question. So we're just going to wait a few more minutes to make sure that there's no other questions. Again, before we do anything else, I do want to thank you sincerely for your time today. I know, again, this is a very busy time of year for everybody. 2020 has just been a busy, interesting year at this point anyway. We appreciate you taking the time at this moment. The next question is, what if a consumer has a busy lifestyle and cannot log in and out on a daily basis? That question came from Anthony. Now, Anthony, in regards to, you're here and there and you're on the move, we certainly understand that. But, and again, speaking from a CareTime perspective, clocking in and out from the mobile app takes, just to clock in and out, no notes, no nothing else. It may take you about a minute tops, with the 30 seconds to clock in and 30 seconds to clock out. And if that is still going to be a point of an issue, then, let's you and I talk about other solutions with, the EVV deadline coming up and how we can make sure that we will give that information to the software so we can make it work with your lifestyle. Again, that's how the consumer portal came about, is us meeting with consumers and making sure that we have what we need. Okay, let's see. Tony, I have your information, and I will make sure that we get you those references in regards to other agencies in New York using the CareTime software currently through their agency today. So I will definitely get that, and it's nice to hear from you, Tony. So is there anybody else that has any questions or comments that you want to send to Kara so we can kind of discuss them here? Again, if you have my contact information up on the screen still, I will always make myself available to answer any questions or go over any ideas or things that you may have in your head to be able to get out and say, hey, this is what we need, so we can make sure that we provide the correct information. From Douglas, are your apps and portals HIPAA compliant and certified? Shortest answer is yes, absolutely. We can definitely provide you more in detail information on that, but again, the short answer is yes. That is not an issue. We would not have that many agencies that rely on our software services and our product to be able to run their agencies if we were not HIPAA compliant. That's not even something we would entertain to try to, get to the left of or to the right of. That's something that is in the forefront of our mind with every feature and every process that we create in the software or even think about, implementing and launching to the industry. That is foremost one of the things that we have to make sure is 100%. Again, any other questions, send them over to Kara. She's sending me one now. It's a comment from Anthony, and Anthony, I completely agree, but Anthony mentioned that tremendous flexibility must be built in the software for active consumers. I agree, and I think if we talk and get through, some of our processes and show you how things can be done, I will happily take your input right to the top and make sure that you don't have to be married to your smartphone, which was a comment from Anthony. So, let us know, let us see, let us hear, and then we will move forward from there. We're all about making sure the consumers, the aides, and the FIs have what they need in order to be successful. Jose has asked, does the completion of the timesheet have to be done at the exact moment the service is occurring to comply with New York State EVV requirements? Obviously, electronic visit verification stands for the visit verification of the date, the time, all of those 6 points of information that the compliance is asking for. So in the short answer, again, yes, it should, but that's why in the portal and in the software based on permissions, there is a way to edit a time card or edit information, which requires, again, like I said, the right permissions in the software, and as well as everything is time and date stamped. So again, if you do get audited or there's a question, there should be notes and information in the software or in the portal that feeds the software as well. So that can be edited. So if you clock in at 12:15 and you were there at 12, something happened when you walked in, which, life continues, the earth continues to spin. So we have every ability to make sure that you have the options to be able to edit that information. But of course, it's supposed to be completed. Like I said, if it's at 12 o'clock, yes, that's the standard, and it should be, it should be completed at the time of the beginning of the service for it to be electronically verified. So yes, it should be, but do you have options to fix that? Then the answer is yes as well. Because, and on the odd occasion, things can happen. But requirements are that, yes, you should clock in and clock out at the required and the correct time that the visit would start and end. Anything else that anybody can think of? Any comments, any questions? Again, I cannot possibly thank you enough for your time today. We are going to work on additional webinars covering different items and different aspects of the industry in New York. And if there are any topics that you would like us to explore, we will happily take that information and see what we can work and do our research and get you the information that you need on a level that we could cover on a webinar. So I would I would accept that happily, that information, if there's another webinar you would like us to do, but please watch out for more invitations to future webinars in the next few months and into 2021 as well. There'll be sometimes webinars just on training on things on the software. There'll be webinars of New York specific information And again, any input to doing those would be greatly appreciated. Again, my contact information is on the screen, so if you need anything at all, do not hesitate to reach out. As I said, I've met most of you in New York also. Anthony did ask, can multiple input methods be used by the consumer's PA? Yes, when we went over that slide of the different EVV technology, they can certainly, one day if they have their cell phone, they can clock in and clock out on the mobile app, and tomorrow you may be in a different situation, and they can clock in using your home phone or the things that you have set up in the system. So we definitely do provide those additional technology forms as well. So yes, absolutely. Usually what you do want those, if you clock in one way, you should clock out the same. But going forward, we'll definitely discuss that more in depth. If you need, Anthony, just make sure that you take down my information and contact me at any time. I definitely also want to say, Jared and I miss seeing everybody. It's always been a great time to come to the CD20 conferences, so we hope we can kick that back off in 2021 in the safest way possible. So we look forward to seeing you all again, or we can, again, like I said, do more webinars going forward. I don't have any other questions being sent to me, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. Again, thank you very much. If you have any questions, again, contact me on the information on the screen, and I'll be happy to discuss whatever topics that you need. And I will always find the answer if I do not have the answer for you right away. So again, thank you all for your time. Enjoy the rest of your week, and please, by all means, stay safe and protect yourselves and take care. Thank you all again, and have a fantastic afternoon.